The ancient strategist Sun Tzu said, "In the middle of chaos, there is also opportunity." This is a profound statement that has a lot to do with the Stoic philosophy we're going to talk about today. Imagine standing still while the world spins around you and finding your calm center, your core that can't be shaken. That's the strength of Stoicism, and that's the path we're taking together. Today, we're going to talk about the art of silence, which is something that people often forget but is really strong. Not only does it mean there is no noise, but there is also deep inner peace, a strength that says volumes without speaking a word. Being good at this art can help you the most in our noisy, constant world, turning chaos into clarity and noise into meaning. We will learn how the Stoics used silence not as a void, but as a strategy tool and a way to become wise and strong. You've come to the right place if you're feeling swamped by the noise of everyday life, if you're looking for a place of peace and quiet, or if you're just interested in how less can really be more. Let's find out together what the Stoic secrets are and how silence can make your life better by giving you peace in the midst of chaos and clarity in the midst of confusion. When people are trying to figure out what you're going to do next, silence has a power that can really creep them out. Think about being in a tense situation, like an argument or a negotiation, and you decide not to speak up or defend yourself. Instead, you choose to be quiet. This isn't about being passive. It's a choice based on the Stoic concept of life. At the end of the day, the Stoics were in charge of both their deeds and their reactions. Now think about this. When you don't say anything, the other person is free to guess, question, and wonder. They aren't able to do their job because they don't know what you're thinking or planning, and that fear is a very useful thing you have. Even when no one speaks, quiet can be stronger and more powerful than words. The great thing about it is that while they're lost in the chaos, you're not just sitting there. You're watching, thinking about, and making plans for your next move. You're in charge. This planned silence gives you time to think, breathe, and approach the problem with a peace and clarity that can only come from inside. This method isn't just about getting ahead. It's also about showing the Stoic ideals of moderation and wisdom. Realizing that sometimes the best reaction is nothing at all is key. Not only do you confuse your opponent, but the silence also gives you a chance to really listen to what's being said, and maybe even more importantly, what's not being said. If you ever find yourself in a tough spot, know how powerful silence can be. Accept it and use it as both a shield and a plan. Let it show that you are a strong person on the inside who doesn't care about outside pressures and instead focuses on their own strength. In a world where we are always linked and online, distractions are more than just a bother. They get in the way of our inner peace and clarity. They break up our attention and make it hard to concentrate. Quite simply, they keep us from really experiencing the deep wisdom that Stoicism has to give. But this is where the beauty of Stoic thought really comes out. It teaches us not only how to deal with problems, but also how to change our surroundings on purpose. First, let's look at our minds. What are we left with when we get rid of the clutter, the constant pings, and the never-ending streams of notifications? We are left with space to think, to observe, and to learn more about the teachings of great Stoics like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, who knew how important it was to be alone and think. The next question you might have is, how do we begin getting rid of distractions? To start, you have to be focused. What needs our attention needs to be filtered by decisions we make. This could mean setting specific times to check your email or social media, making your office calm, or just enjoying quiet times during the day. To avoid the modern world is not the point. The point is to move through it with purpose and wisdom, like a Stoic would. But getting rid of distractions isn't just about blocking out outside noise. It's also about blocking out the inner talk, the fears, the doubts, and the never-ending what-ifs that keep us from making good decisions and finding peace. Focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we can't is another thing that Stoicism can teach us. When you are calm inside and not distracted, this is where real knowledge grows. And don't forget that reducing distractions helps more than just us. It also helps our relationships, our work, and our imagination. We pay more attention to and become more involved with the world around us. Being in the present moment and giving it our full attention is a gift that makes our lives richer and more important. That's why I think you should adopt this calm habit. Start small. Maybe set aside some time each day to be alone with your thoughts and quiet, away from the digital world. Enjoy the difference it makes in how you act, what you think, and what you choose. This is the way to live a more focused, calm, and tough life. Have you ever noticed that when you stop, everyone pays more attention? It's like the space between notes in a symphony. It makes the music sound fuller. This is the power of silence, which is very important in Stoicism because it shows how to be restrained and take conscious action, or in this case, take conscious stillness. We make an interesting and powerful presence when we choose silence, especially when people are expecting a lot of words. Think about a heated argument or a meeting room that is full of people. When someone doesn't say anything but listens carefully, their silence says a lot. It has a powerful effect that makes people interested in it. Why do they do that? What's the point of not talking? This mystery can give you a sneaky way to control and sway anyone you talk to. But let's look more closely at what this idea means in a serious way. Stoicism teaches us to value quality over number and depth over surface level. By relating this to how we talk to each other, we understand that our words should have meaning and be carefully chosen, not just thrown around without any thought. When we do speak, our words have more power because they come from careful thought rather than a hasty response. Also, people tend to put their thoughts and feelings into silence, which can help people understand and empathize with each other better. We give others the chance to speak up when we are quiet, and by doing so, we learn more about their thoughts and feelings. For example, this can be very powerful in personal connections, at work, or even when we're talking to ourselves. Now, choosing silence doesn't mean we sit back and watch our lives happen. It's a choice we make on purpose. Being aware of when to talk and when to be quiet is important. This is one of the most important Stoic virtues. It shows that you have a deep understanding of how people interact with each other and how important each word we choose to share or hold off. Practically speaking, learning how to use silence can make our lives better in many ways. It can calm down arguments, help people connect more deeply, and even improve our mental health by giving us much-needed breaks. Based on Stoic ideas that encourage a balanced, thoughtful approach to life, it's a skill that we can learn and get better at over time. It may seem counterintuitive to embrace quiet in a world where noise and activity are often seen as signs of strength and productivity. But according to Stoic philosophy, it is in the quiet times that we find our real sources of strength. Stoicism shows us how important it is to think about ourselves and stay calm, which are qualities that grow in quiet. Getting away from the noise of the outside world helps us hear our ideas more clearly, understand our feelings, and figure out what we want to do. Silence is a safe place for our thoughts to rest and get stronger without being interrupted or weakened by constant noise. Think of silence as a way to train your mind. Like bodybuilders lift weights to make their muscles stronger, Stoics use quiet to make their minds stronger. We practice being strong by being with ourselves, facing our inner chaos without running away, and coming out of it more centered and grounded. We build up the mental strength to handle whatever life throws at us during these times of silence. Besides that, Quiet makes things clearer. It helps us sort through our goals and figure out what's important and what's just noise. This clarity gives us strength by letting us know not to act without thinking, but with purpose and meaning. Our choices are more well thought out, our deeds have more meaning, and our lives are more in line with our core values. Let's go deeper though. Being silent doesn't just mean being alone or doing nothing. It means interacting with our inner selves. It means paying attention to our feelings, thoughts, and gut feelings. We learn truths about ourselves in these quiet conversations. We find out what really means to us, what drives us, and where our beliefs come from. Knowing ourselves well is a strong form of strength that gives us the courage to make the right decisions for ourselves, no matter what other people think or expect of us. And here's something interesting. The strength we gain in silence doesn't just help us. It affects the people we talk to and interact with. When we are clear and centered, we show others that we are calm and sure of ourselves. When we say things after giving them a lot of thought, they have more weight. Stoics encourages us to be calm and focused, which makes our presence more powerful. In order to be stoic, we try to understand that no matter what we've done or who we are all interconnected and depending on each other in the big picture of life. Realizing this is freeing. It sets us free from the chains of ego, letting us live life more fully and connect with others more honestly. What does it mean to not be proud or cocky, though? It doesn't mean we shouldn't value ourselves. Being free from pride or arrogance doesn't mean we don't have value. It means being able to see our skills and weaknesses with equal clarity and calm. In other words, it means realizing that our successes and mistakes don't make us better or worse than other people. It is suggested that we live our lives with balance, accepting both wins and failures with the same level of calmness. It tells us not to brag about what we've done, but to let our deeds speak for themselves. When we do this, our self-worth is no longer tied to approval or comparison from other people, and we feel at peace with ourselves. In addition, being humble makes us more open to learning and growing. We become better listeners, friends, and members of the community who care more about others. We understand that everyone can teach us something, and we are ready to learn from every contact. In real life, getting rid of pride or vanity requires regular self-reflection, which is an important part of Stoicism. We look at what drives us, question what we think we know, and try to make sure that our behaviors are in line with our deeper values. We remind ourselves of how human we all are, and that, like everyone else, we have flaws and can make mistakes. Adopting this calm trait also makes our relationships better. When we let go of the need to be right or look better all the time, we make room for deeper relationships. We pay more attention, react with more thought, and interact in a deeper way. People find it easier to talk to us, relate to us, and often respect us more. The words we use are very important in any discussion, but the times we choose to be quiet are just as important. This smart use of silence can give off an air of control and cool, which often makes the other person say more than they meant to. We are not the only ones who can think about what is happening at this moment. Everyone involved in the discussion is also encouraged to do so. Stoics believe that keeping quiet during talks is not a way to trick or play games. It's about controlling our inner peace and giving ourselves time to think about what to say before we say it. When we pause, we're not just buying time, we're also taking charge of the situation, focusing on the moment and giving our next move a lot of thought. But there's more to it than just having the upper hand in battle. When someone doesn't say anything, it shows that they respect what is about to be said and understand how powerful it could be. When we pause, we show others that we are thoughtful and careful, which is a quality that gets respect and attention anywhere. Also, this practice of purposeful silence fits perfectly with the Stoic focus on listening, which is a skill that is just as important in negotiations as being able to speak well or persuade someone. When we really listen, we learn about what the other person wants, fears, and needs. This knowledge can help us find answers that are good for everyone, outcomes that benefit everyone. But how can we use silence as a strong tool? Self-awareness is the first step. This is another important part of Stoicism. We can better control our urges to talk if we know what sets us off and how we normally behave. It's also important to have faith in our own point of view and the courage to let it stand without adding extra words. In real life, there are many ways to be quiet. In negotiations, it can be a pause after a big speech that lets the meaning of it sink in. When things get hot or complicated, it can be helpful to take a moment to calm down. It can also be a place we make for others to fill, giving them a chance to talk, think, or agree. The Stoics thought that all people are linked to each other and that we are all part of the same human society. When we show kindness and care, we're not just being good, we're also recognizing and honoring this deep link. In the Stoic sense, being kind isn't about big actions or wanting praise. It's about the little things we do every day to show kindness, like choosing patience over anger or judgment. It means thinking about how our words and actions affect other people and choosing to help them instead of criticizing them. Thought, on the other hand, goes even further. It means constantly putting ourselves in other people's shoes and trying to understand their struggles, hopes, and points of view. There is room for real connections when we treat others with genuine care. This builds mutual respect and trust. Why is this really important? Well, being kind and thoughtful not only makes other people's lives better, but it also makes our own lives more peaceful and satisfying. Stoicism teaches us that how we treat other people and how we treat ourselves are directly connected to each other. Being kind is in line with Stoic beliefs, and it helps bring peace to ourselves and the people around us. Also, being kind and thoughtful can have a domino effect, encouraging others to do the same and making the community more caring and understanding. Just think about what would happen if we all decided to be a little more kind and thoughtful. The result could be life-changing for everyone. How can we live by these values every day? It starts with being mindful or aware of the people we meet and the chances we have to be kind and thoughtful. It means taking a moment to think about what to say and then picking words that show the Stoic virtues of moderation, justice, wisdom, and courage. It's hard to really listen, deeply empathetically listen, in our busy lives where there are lots of distractions and everyone wants to have the last word. But it's a skill that fits in perfectly with the Stoic philosophy, which stresses understanding, empathy, and the search for knowledge. Deep listening is more than just hearing what someone says. It means getting into the heart of what they're saying and understanding the feelings and motivations behind what they say. To truly listen, one must not only intend to respond, but also to comprehend. We can see a deep link between this understanding and the Stoic ideas of empathy and reason. When we really listen, we show others the respect and care they deserve because we know how valuable they are as people. Stoic compassion means recognizing that other people have their own problems, points of view, and stories that are worth knowing, just like we do. But careful listening has many more benefits than just making people more empathetic and respectful. When we really listen, we let new ideas and thoughts come to us. We learn more, fix problems better, and become better friends and co-workers. We can take in and think about more information, which can then shape our choices and actions, making them more in line with the Stoic ideals of moderation, justice, wisdom, and courage. How to listen deeply and keep your cool. So, how can we get better at this deep listening thing? First, it starts with a plan. Keep in mind that you can learn something from every exchange. Instead of focusing on how much you want to talk, you should be interested in what the other person has to say. Next, work on being present. Nowadays, when you get notifications all the time and have to do many things at once, giving someone your full attention is a very special treat. To fully engage with the person in front of you, you have to put down your phone and turn off any other noises. When you listen, you use more than just your ears. You use your eyes, your body, and your head. It means showing with all of your being that you care and are there for them. Deep listening also requires self-control and patience, which help us hold off the urge to talk over the other person, judge them, or think of what to say next while they are still talking. It means giving them room to say what they want and waiting for them to finish before responding. In the end, it's about thinking about things. Think about what you heard for a moment after you're done. Think about the message, how it made you feel, and what it all means. This reflection not only helps you understand more, but it also lets you react with care and thought, which is what the Stoic ideal of measured, thought-out action looks like. This idea isn't just about learning things or having quick answers. It's about getting to know our experiences, our ideals, and the world around us in a deep, thoughtful way. Stoicism is based on reflective knowledge, which helps us live with purpose, make smart decisions, and become more like our ideal selves. Self-reflection is the first step to reflective knowledge. It's an exercise that makes us stop, look inside, and think about our actions, reactions, and thoughts. Being honest, open, and ready to face hard facts are some of the things that make this more difficult. But this process is very important because it helps us figure out what drives us, what our biases are, and what our ideals are. In the end, it helps us learn more about ourselves. But the path to reflective knowledge isn't a one-person show. Stoicism tells us that our lives are linked to those of others and to the world as a whole. Because of this, when we think about ourselves, we need to think about our relationships, our place in society, and how we affect the world. How do the things we do fit in with the bigger picture? Are we adding to the peace or the chaos? This bigger picture makes sure that our knowledge isn't just for our own benefit, but also for the good of everyone. Now let's talk about how to use this knowledge. Reflective knowledge isn't just a nice idea, it's also very useful in real life. It shapes the things we do, the decisions we make, and the way we talk to each other. We make better decisions, act more deliberately, and speak more carefully when we act from a place of reflective knowledge. We get stronger when things go wrong, more calm when things get tough, and better able to adjust to new situations. These traits show that someone is stoic. They handle life's ups and downs with calm and ease. But how can we grow this kind of thoughtful wisdom? It starts with making time and place to regularly reflect. This could mean writing in a notebook, thinking deeply about your actions and choices every day, or having a daily review. It means being willing to ask tough questions and follow the answers wherever they lead. There are lessons to be learned from the past, the present moment, and the future to think about. Having a learner's mindset is another important thing to do. There is something to learn from everything we do in life, whether it's happy, sad, or just plain boring. When we are open and curious, we can learn from everything that happens in our lives and become smarter and more understanding. Being resilient doesn't mean escaping pain or denying our problems. Instead, it means facing problems head-on, learning from them, and coming out on the other side stronger and smarter. Stoicism tells us that we can't change what happens to us, but we can change how we react to it. This reaction, which is based on clarity, reason and virtue, is what makes people truly resilient. But how do we make ourselves more resilient? The first step is to accept it. Stoicism tells us to accept things as they are, not how we want them to be. This means being honest about our problems without judging them or feeling sorry for ourselves. When we accept our problems, we save our energy for what's important, how we respond and how we grow. Next, we use the power of what we see. The Stoics think that how we think about things makes us more upset than the things themselves. Taking a bigger picture view can help us see our problems as parts of a bigger story that includes learning, growth, and the chance to change. This point of view doesn't make our pain less real, but it does put it in a way that helps us be stronger. Let's talk about how the community can help people be more resilient. Even though Stoicism stresses personal virtue and inner power, it also sees how we are all connected. People who share their problems, offer support, and learn from those who have been through similar things can help us grow and get through hard times. These connections make us stronger and help us remember that we're not going through this trip by ourselves. Resilience can also be built up through practice. In the same way that using a muscle makes it stronger, facing and getting through tough situations makes us more resilient. Then, every problem we face is a chance to follow the Stoic principles, to be brave, to stay calm, and to choose a response that is in line with our ideals. Finding our inner power and using it to deal with the problems that come up in life is what it means to be resilient. This book is about how to use hardship to help us grow, change, and learn more about our good qualities and values. And most importantly, it's about moving forward with the strength and wisdom we've learned from our past. As we come to the end of today's deep dive into Stoic philosophy, remember that the strength you seek is already inside you, ready to be used through the power of deep wisdom, thought, and resilience. Click here to watch 8 Things Stoic. Say you should not tell people. See you there in a second. Be stoic. Stay stoic.